Well, good evening. Thank you very much, Fergus, for those kind remarks. And I'd like to echo my own thanks to Walter Jaiwardena from the ICCL, who really has been a stalwart in the production of this booklet, and indeed as editor of the Know Your Rights series, because this, for the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, is part of a series of accessible guides to rights, of which we're particularly proud. There's a tradition in the ICCL going back to the early 1970s of trying to take complex legal information and make it more accessible than otherwise it could be. And back in the early 2000s, we produced a guide which focused on Garda Paris and criminal justice powers in particular. But it wasn't really until the late 2000s when we enhanced the ICCL's website and we were actually able to track what people were looking at, what they were downloading, what they were interested in, that we realised that we had a massive spike in interest around the Know Your Rights Pack, that people were really interested, that they wanted to get their hands on it. And so we thought, well, it's time that we revisited it, it's time that we produced it in a new form, a new downloadable form. The first pack that we went about reproducing was a revised version of the Garda Paris pack, and it wasn't actually a particularly straightforward process because we got a number of practitioners involved in the writing of it, and on quite a number of points initially they came back to us and they said, we're not going to be able to produce a plain English version of this part of the law because it's just too complex. And the answer that we gave was, well, from the standpoint of somebody who's actually sitting in a police cell at 3 o'clock in the morning, they are going to understand whether or not they have the right of access to a lawyer. They are going to understand whether they've got the right to make a telephone call or not. And it was that shift in perspective to say, what we want to do here is we want to look at the law from the perspective of the person who's on the receiving end of it and make it understandable to them, that helped us to produce and revise that pack, and which has been the guiding principle that has gone through the other subsequent packs on privacy and on the European Convention on Human Rights. We're now in the second phase of production of these guides. We're very pleased with the Rights and Obligations of Civil Partners pack. We have another pack which is very near completion now, which is being produced in partnership with the Children's Rights Alliance. I'm very pleased to welcome the CEO of the Children's Rights Alliance, Tanya Ward, with us this evening as well. So that will be the next pack that will see the light of day. And of course, where that's concerned, we're particularly pleased that we're going to be able to take into account the outcome of the recent referendum. I just want to say a quick word about one of the other genuine pleasures of producing this latest pack, and that has been that it has again been an opportunity for the Irish Council for Civil Liberties to work closely with Glenn. And whenever you work closely with Glenn, you learn things that you didn't know before. And I think where this particular subject is concerned, even though it's the case that the 20 years since homosexuality was decriminalised have not yet brought our laws fully into accordance with international human rights standards, where civil partnership is concerned, the Act of 2010 represents a huge leap forward, and a massive amount of the credit for that huge leap forward goes to Glenn, and goes to Glenn both for the substance and the detail of its work, but also for the manner in which it goes about its work, the partnership building, the reaching out to people across the political spectrum, including people with whom one might imagine that a human rights organisation might not have a natural affinity, meeting people where they are and bringing them with you. And we've seen you do that, and we're massively impressed by it, and it's a real pleasure and an honour for us to work with you. Lastly, I was trying to think of a good way that I could actually characterise the nature of the partnership, the nature of the relationship between the ICCL and Glenn, and I was struggling to find a way to capture it, and then it occurred to me that there's actually a very simple way to say it. It is, in effect, a very civil partnership.